How's it going? All right, guys. So today in crypto, we actually saw some very good news that honestly I didn't expect us to see anytime soon, and that is involving that of the China and US tariffs. As we got as we've seen the tariffs, as we've seen, there is a trade deal that has been discussed, and there appears to be something that will be coming out of this that's going to be both beneficial for that of the United States as well as China also. And ultimately, of course, what this does to the markets is it, of course, affects it in a positive way. Now, it was interesting in the later of the day. Currently, it is 6 p.m. on May 12th. This is the time you'll be seeing this video. It will be around 7 p.m. So roughly around this time, we did see the stock market today go ahead and actually outperform crypto, at least during the later stages of the day. We saw Bitcoin on a day decline, whereas we saw the stock market reacting favorably to this news. Of course, crypto still did react favorably to this news, more so in the morning and midway through the day as well. But again, throughout that time, we kind of hit some key resistance levels that ultimately made things fall back down. Not too crazy, and I'll explain exactly why that is. And then the second half of the video, which if you're here for alien base, you can skip to it if you really want to. If you're not interested in the market update through my lens, it will be provided for you there. So what happened with everything else? According to a lot of analysts I know, again, we talked about this in the Ski Mask Dog video a couple videos ago, or maybe that was the last video. Essentially, what a lot of the analysts were seeing was a drawdown. And again, these are people from crypto Twitter that I know are reputable and other sources as well. What we're seeing within the markets right now is Bitcoin is going and retesting certain key levels, and it appears to be on a decline right now to test and just revisit the range of around 90, the low 90s, basically, the low 90,000. So if you want to say $90,000 to $94,000, it looks like Bitcoin's going to revisit those areas and retest them once again. Now, one thing with this is that you have to understand, we went quickly from 70,000 roughly all the way up now back to the 100,000s where we're still trading above. And so with that in mind, there's definitely need for a correction. And so a correction from 100 something thousand down to the low 90s is nothing to be worried about. And to reassure yourself on that, and myself as well, the people that I know who have done this for years also point and say that this is healthy, this is supposed to happen, and that we should expect to see a next major leg up shortly after. So I'm not worried whatsoever. I do have some cash still sidelined on, and I'm going to be waiting to deploy that slowly over the coming week or two. So that's what I'm going to be playing off of this information. And I am, by the way, am going to be trying to get myself to a position where I can read situations like this and kind of just say it without needing the credibility of other people. But I can, of course, base that off of them as well. But that'll be a work in progress for you guys. So the market appears to be heading again in a small correction that is definitely needed. And then once that correction happens, we'll be back up on track. And I know people who are targeting very, very high prices for Ethereum throughout these next couple of months. And I mean like $4,000, $5,000, even $6,000 are some targets that I see people who, again, have years of experience in crypto and are credible, who are looking to take profits on Ethereum. So if that really doesn't, say much to you, then I don't know what will. Because as we know, especially with those high of numbers, Ethereum pushing that high is going to cause a lot of altcoins to follow suit. And we could see some pretty big pumps within a lot of strong altcoins that have community backed behind them. And speaking of community backed coins, that's going to be it for, by the way, the crypto market update of the video, kind of just going over the correction. That should happen. It could or could not happen. It might or might not happen, I should say. And then the supposed targets that a lot of people have for that of Ethereum. So I kind of just want to highlight those two. Moving on into Alien Base. We're going to cover this. I don't remember, to be honest, when the last time I did an update on Alien Base. Currently at 13 cents. And what was interesting is I hadn't looked at this coin in a pretty long time, couple months or so. So I really wasn't tracking it that well. And I noticed that Alien Base fell down to a low of around 4 cents at the bottom. Now, what is shocking about that is, and by the way, it peaked at almost 60 cents in November. So almost 60 cents in November, Alien Base peaked at. It fell all the way down to that of 4 cents. So around a 90% drop. Meaning, if you would have threw $1,000 in at 50 cents, expecting it to go to $1 or $2, you would be down pretty big amount, right? You're going to be down all the way less than $100. But where we're currently trading is actually a pretty interesting level, and we actually did hit this the 10th of May. We hit 16 cents in the 10th of May. Right now, we're currently trading at 13 cents. So with that in mind, if you would have bought these lows, and we were trading within the 5 to 4 cent range. I didn't buy the lows, by the way. We were trading in this range for a decent amount of time. For, I would say, around a month, we were trading in those areas. If you would have scooped some up, especially at that 4 cent range, right now at 13 cents, you'd be up 3x at the very minimum. But if you would have for some reason sold at 16 cents, you would have been at a 4x from there. So again, I always like to bring this up every video to shove down my throat and other people's throats. If you would have, let's say, been one of those unlucky few buying very high, expecting $1, $2 to come around, and we fell back down to 4 cents, let's say you threw in $1,000 there. You'd be right now, if at the 13 cent mark, around $3,300 in total. So you'd be still up. You'd actually be up $1,300 from that of the peak. $2,300. You'd be up 1,000. So that's important to understand. So it's just important to understand it's just important to understand how important DCAing is, because DCAing can save you a lot of the times and help you to actually get profit, even if you bought in initially 5 times higher than the price is currently. If you DCA, you can still be in green even if you had a high buy-in. So that's something I like to note. Now, with that in mind, as far as Alien Base's price, it's definitely broken out of a bearish. Now, as far as Alien Base's graph, from just my look of things, because of how small of a market cap it is, I mean, it's not too small at around $68 million market cap. What I find interesting is we've definitely broken out of the bearish trend, and we have formulated a bullish trend. We've created higher highs, we've created higher lows, the typical that you'd want to see there, and a pretty nice pattern. We've definitely broken out of that choppiness of that supposed bottom. So Alien Base is not done yet, at least for now. Now, one thing in terms of just the project in general that is concerning to me is Alien Base's, I guess, if I had to explain it, their activity on social media platforms. Now, we all know that one of the biggest social media platforms is, of course, X. And if you go to Alien Base's X account, their last post was in April 18th, almost a month ago. And before that, that last post was around March 26th. So there was almost a month gap in between their March post and their April post. And now there's been almost a month gap between their April post and their May post. So as far as being active on X, Alien Base is really not working too hard on that area and that level. And I find that very interesting. You see a coin like Aerodrome pumping out a ton of content on X all the time. I mean, constantly updating users on what they've been doing, on all their new partnerships, etc. Alien Base has been severely quiet, like almost too quiet. And if you guys know anything about crypto, attention does drive not only the markets, but also projects. Like with a token like that of Alien Base being a DEX, you need attention and you need more users to actively use the platform. And the way you get that is through marketing, is through attention. So as far as marketing goes, Alien Base is in my opinion, way under marketed. They are not doing too much of anything to market this project. A post a month is not going to do much whatsoever to keep users of the program, the platform, locked with what's going on But even those who are just interested, they're going to see, oh, this project really isn't too active on their platform. That is one big concern I have, and I've had this concern for a decent amount of time with Alien Base. I think like this project could genuinely be a completely different project in terms of the size it is currently, in terms of its price, but also just like the amount of users utilizing Alien Base for what it has to offer. If they would just do a better job promoting the token, I think like if that situation was solved, this token would do like 9 times better than it currently is. It again just is lacking that marketing. So I found that interesting and concerning. We have yet, like I said, to see a post in May. And I mean, like I said, a coin like Aerodrome is posting multiple times a day. So if, you know, Alien Base wants to compete, it needs to be, if Alien Base wants to compete and set itself aside from others, it needs to go ahead and put the work in. Like their marketing team needs to do something. Like there's such a lack of marketing behind this token, which again, like what that will cause is tier one listers. What that will cause is like tier one exchanges like that of Coinbase, Kraken. They're not going to look at a token that's not posting whatsoever. They need a token that's getting consistent community engagement, driving users on the platform, and that's something Alien Base is not doing. So that's a concern, but I think if that concern can be alleviated, they start doing a lot more with marketing, start pushing their token, updating what they're doing with the platform. Like if they can do that on a frequent basis, this project has a lot of room to grow. I mean, there's not too many competitors on the DEX space besides that of Aerodrome to compete with and establish themselves as. And we can see in the ETH market share with like that of Uniswap, PancakeSwap, multiple DEXs can thrive at the same time on the same ecosystem. So I definitely think that of Alien Base, like, there's a spot it can fill. The marketing just needs to deliver, and that's going to be my update on it. Realistically, this will be the last update of me on Alien Base. I'm personally not invested in this token. I exited last time we had the pump. I never re-entered. But I will say this, if I do end up seeing that Alien Base does actually make an effort with their marketing and things start to change on that end, there's new developments, then I will make an update. But as of now, this is going to be my final update on Alien Base, unless those things change. So I don't think it's a bad project. Again, I just think the lack of marketing does not make it a distractive investment on my part. So with all that being said, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys later.